We are a jobbing shop, which means everything we're making is sold. You can see by the array of patterns that we have quite a variation. We have about 300 active customers, and we have about 5,000 active patterns that we make from one time or other. Our biggest customer base is electrical. We do a lot in the hose accessory line. We also make quite a number of castings for firefighting equipment. What we have here for display purposes is a manual mold. Years ago, this is the way most of the castings were made. And essentially, this is what we call a flask. The bottom half we refer to as the drag, the top half we refer to as the coat. And essentially, what we would do is we would put a pattern such as this, insert it between the two halves of mold. We would put sand on both sides of that pattern and squeeze it. After we would squeeze it, we would pull this half of the mold off of the pattern. We remove the pattern, as you see here, and we have the lower half of the mold set. At that point, a core, in this case the job is cored, a core is set into the mold, okay, into position, all right, as you see, along with a second core that makes a hole in the casting. All right, and you can readily see how the casting, this is a finished casting that was already stripped out, but you can readily see how that core makes the holes in these particular part that we're running here. The core is then removed from the part. All right, we have beneficial reuse permits so that all our core material is resold for secondary processing. This is an identical system to the one we just passed, but you can see better how the shakeout facility works as the castings are being removed from the sand. Again, the sand goes through the shakeout, the conveyor through the floor, back to a return elevator, back into our sand storage for reprocessing. See another mold being dumped. This is the same part that you saw where we were making the core in the core room. And the mold that you just saw coming out of the shakeout in the back, we have it laying here so that you can get a better picture, a better idea of what we're doing. The end result of this is this particular part here, which is already assembled and painted and machined, the whole 9 yards. But this goes to the trucking industry and also to tow motor operations to be mounted for the visibility inside a trailer. This is a smaller system that we, again, automated completely, but what we're doing here is we're pouring, instead of using the pump that you saw earlier, we're using a robotic system for actually ladling of the metal. And you'll see it pours every 2 molds. It's doing some programming right now in the unit. And again, I emphasize that all the programming is done in plant by our people that have been trained to do that. What we've tried to do at Littlestown Foundry is take the physical aspect of foundry out of the equation and build it into a mechanization. You see now the ladler is going into operation. As we see the castings are conveying down the conveyor, they go over a secondary shakeout where any sand that wasn't removed in the first shakeout is removed and redistributed back into the sand system. The castings come off of that shakeout and immediately go into a water quench so that they're cooled And then they go up on an incline belt up to the saw area where we're going to go next for the removal of the gating system. What we refer to as a gating system is the artery system, or that allowed the metal to be introduced into the mold to complete the pour. After the clench that we saw downstairs, the casting come up in the far corner on an incline conveyor belt down an oscillator that we see in this area. Then the product is brought into the saw area where the individual operator removes the part and saws the gate off of the casting. The gates and what appears to be the waste product is taken back to the foundry for a remelt. This is the grinding area. What we're doing here is we're removing a very fine parting line and the gate that you saw being sawed off upstairs. That has to be blended in or smoothed out. And that's essentially what's being done here, that the part is being ground 360 degrees. In the event that we would machine that part, which we don't, but in the event that we did, instead of grinding it off, we would simply take it off in the machining operation. It's quite a variation of castings that we make each and every day. What we see here is a little different. If it appears to look like a tea kettle, it's a half of a tea kettle, and it serves as a humidifier for the stove industry, where it's a decorative type product where water is put into the tea kettle, set on a stove, etc., to allow for moisture to be introduced into the air.